Oh, hey everyone, welcome back for season number 5 of First Canada Live. We are so excited to be back here with you. It is going to be a great year. It's going to be a great show. There is so much happening. But of course, before we get started, as Canadians, it is very important to recognize the land of which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect upon the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging, of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We acknowledge this land out of respect for the Indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The Indigenous people have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler peoples until today. But most importantly, we remember the history of these lands, people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This is something that everyone is affected by. We are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect upon, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, folks, that's right. We're back here, First Canada Live, excited for the season. I am your host, Karthik Hannigas of Apathy, and I would like to welcome this week's co-host from Team 7712 Umoja from Scarborough. It is Amelia from the First Canada Youth Council. Hello, Amelia. How are you doing?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing great, Karthik. Excited for the first episode of the season.
I know it's been super exciting, and we're going to be talking to a lot of different people today. We're going to be asking one similar question. How was your summer?
It was amazing. Oh my goodness. I took time for myself, took a little bit of break from school, and actually became a leader at camp, which is really exciting.
Very nice. Congratulations on becoming a leader. What was the coolest thing that you saw this summer, or happened?
Ooh, it definitely had to be one of the camp games. It was like this game where we had like cardboard shields and armor, and like we had to like crack eggs. And like it was basically like a fight, kind of,
Okay,
but
okay.
In a good way. It was
So
really
is it like that TikTok trend where they like crack the egg on the baby's head? Have you seen that one? It's awful. Like
no.
parents will be like playing with their baby and like cooking, and then they sing a song, and then they go to crack the egg, but they pop it off the baby's head, and the baby's just like, what just happened? Maybe I'm on a weird side of
Never seen
TikTok. I don't
that.
know. Yeah. Maybe the youth council will have to make a TikTok like that, cracking eggs off
For
each
sure,
other.
for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Hey, Amelia, we got a lot of good stuff happening on today's show. We've got, first off, we're going to be breaking down the new First Tech Challenge game, Center Stage, which is going to be super exciting. Have you checked out the game yet?
Yeah, I actually just watched it.
Yeah,
Seems
so
really exciting.
yeah, we got some FTC experts. We got some current students. We got some alumni. And of course, our FTC program manager, Lisa Ramraj, will be here. We have the newly appointed First Canada Director of Education, John Hobbins. You know him well. John is back on First Canada Live to talk a little bit about his role and what First Canada is doing on the education side of things, which will be very exciting. And of course, we have First Canada First Lego League Discover and Explore program manager, Christine Bibick, talking about some exciting news that will affect all the first programs when it comes to First Lego League Explore. So that's exciting. And of course, kicking us off, there's no better way to start the season than to welcome our president, Mr. Dave Ellis will be here. So lots of good stuff. Throughout the show, folks, if you have questions, we want to answer them. You want to hear from Dave Ellis, you got a specific thing you want to know, drop it in chat and we will do our best to get to all the questions. And of course, folks, just a reminder here, we're here to have fun and celebrate excellence in our community. And the way we celebrate excellence is to lift everyone up. So bring your positivity, your grace, and professionalism. All right, as is tradition on this show, it is time for Amelia to lead us in our wellness moment brought to you by the First Canada Youth Council.
Yeah, so for today, last time I talked a bit about how it's so important to get enough sleep. I just wanted to put a reminder out there that this still applies. It really, really helps with school and having enough energy. I know I need to work on my sleep myself. But this time I'm going to talk about getting away from your screen. And I know what you're thinking. That's impossible. We're literally using screens right now.
Yeah, please don't go away now.
But what I mean is like times where it's like really not necessary to be on your phone and device, but you kind of are anyways. Like, for example, I'm definitely prone to this when you're taking the bus or walking from class to class. It seems kind of second nature to just like kind of pull out your phone And most of the time, I find myself not even on anything. I'm just kind of flipping through my screen or like the weather app, which is kind of weird. But this is usually kind of pointless, and I don't really feel better mentally this way. And this is not saying I don't still do this. I definitely do still struggle. But I find that when you fight the urge to kind of pull out your phone, it kind of gives your brain like a much needed mental break. So you can like breathe and look around at nature or just a different space that isn't your phone or a screen. So I think it's really important to just take things a little slower and to give yourself time to think because ultimately it helps you be able to focus more on things that need high attention like school and it helps you relax and relieve any stress from the day. At least it does for me. I hope that this can maybe help other people who are out there who are just like me in the sense always need to be on our phone.
Uh, that is some fabulous advice, Amelia. That's really, really good. And, you know, it also, if you think back to some of the past wellness moments we've had, a lot of the youth council members have talked about the importance of taking breaks. But so often when we take a break from studying or from work, it's to hop onto a different screen, you know, and like, it's hard to relax that way, you know, so just taking time, putting the screens away and just like do something else. Look outside, look out your window, go for a quick 5-minute walk, just get some air, get some energy. But yeah, I'm as guilty as anyone. I'm really bad. It's before bed. You know, like they say, like don't look at screens like before bed. That I hop into bed and I'm like, oh, I can't sleep just yet. Okay, let me scroll Insta or TikTok or something, you know, or like let me check the scores in the ESPN app. And it's just like, no, what are you doing? Stop. This just relax, slow down our brains. So that's some great advice. The Youth Council will be doing this all year long as well. Stay tuned to First Canada's social media, where the Youth Council will be doing Mental Health Mondays again, where there's going to be tips for wellness and how to take care of yourself. So really cool things happening. But now, Amelia, I think it is time to do our news updates. So anyone out there, hey, Amelia, are you a Canadian first student who's ever dreamed of studying at an American university?
Yes, I am.
Well, are you curious about what that process might look like for Canadian students?
Yes.
Well, guess what? We've got a whole new thing we're doing here at First Canada. It's called the First Canada Alumni Corner. And our first one is going to be with special guest Harvard undergrad Namira Kadir talking about admissions to American University. So Namira has also been a co-host on First Canada Live and was a member of the First Canada Youth Council. This will be on September 19th at 7 p.m. And the first topic is going to be comprehensive admission insights, demystifying the complex U.S. admissions process. So they're going to talk about interviews, essay writing, leveraging your first experiences, financial aid, networking, all sorts of things. But you're going to want to join up for the First Canada Alumni Corner. So this is for all students to learn from our amazing alumni who have done cool things. So this is going to be the first one. If you're interested in signing up or getting more information, hop on over to the link that just went into chat. And if you can't see the chat, it's firstroboticscanada.org/alumni corner. So Amelia, will you be coming to the Alumni Corner?
I definitely will be there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. We're really excited for this. So thank you to our alumni manager, Jaylene Koshelski, for getting this kickstarted, and for Namira Kadir for being our first guest. Be really, really cool. Other news updates. First Canada Live. Okay, you're probably wondering, like, hey, we're back. Season 1 premiere, season 5 premiere episode. When's the next episode going to be? So for the fall this year, we're doing 1 episode a month. You know, we know people are just gonna get into the swing of things and everything, so we're not going to be overdoing it. 1 episode a month for the fall. Then come back in January right away. We're going to do an episode the Tuesday after kickoff. We're going to talk about the new FRC game. And then the next episode after that, 1 week later, we're going to be on with the Robotics Team 118 and talk about their version of the EveryBot, which is going to be really cool this year because there's already a kit bot included in the kit this year, which is based off the EveryBot. Yeah, you hear that, Amelia? Like before, like the EveryBot, you have to wait a couple weeks or whatever. This year, it's coming in your kit of parts. The instructions are going to be there. But the folks on 118 are like, well, if teams are already getting that, we're going to release something that's going to show you how to go even further. So it's going to be really cool to see how teams get to the next level. Then we'll be back for another episode in February. But then come March, every week after FRC events, we will be back wrapping them up, looking at match video, doing analysis. So it's just going to be going nonstop once we get into FRC season. But there's going to be a lot of things happening. But stay tuned to our social media. And if you always want to get updated, subscribe to our Twitch channel here, turn on the notifications, and you'll know when we're going live. So that's what's happening there. And of course, folks, reminders, it's been a while since we reminded people about this, but hey, if you want to stay connected with other FIRST teams across Ontario, the FIRST Tech Challenge and FIRST Robotics Competition, no better way to do that than to join the Ontario Team Slack group. So if it is, like late at night and you're like, oh, I can't get my code to compile, post a question in the Slack group and you'll have like 50 other teams there to try and answer your questions. It's pretty fantastic. That works for FTC, that works for FRC. And for any of our alumni who are watching, we have the FIRST Canada Alumni LinkedIn group. If you want to join that, the link is going in chat right there. And, for all our grade 12s, as soon as the year is done, you can get joined up in there. So it'll be pretty cool. All right, that's our news. I want to know, Amelia, are you ready to get the show started?
Yes, I'm so excited.
All right, we're going to get the show started in just a moment after a word from one of our sponsors, Rockwell Automation. All right. Thank you, Rockwell, for all your support and support for our upcoming current season. I want to say upcoming, but the season started. FLL, First Lego League Challenge is going, Explorer is going, Discover is going, First Tech Challenge just had their kickoff. Everything's happening right now. All right, Amelia, we got a pretty big time guest here. As big time as you can get. Please welcome I'm losing track of myself here. Please welcome the president of FIRST Robotics Canada and 2017 Championship First Lego League Challenge Volunteer of the Year Award winner, Mr. Dave Ellis.
Hey, Karthik, not sure what's going on with my camera right now, but...
Well, we can hear you, Dave. That's a good start. That's a good start.
Yeah, that's a good start. Yeah.
Let's, maybe if you want to switch to your webcam.
I'm getting the spinning purple rainbow circle of death right now on my
Oh no.
It was all working before. It was just like, it was all set, and then Zoom is doing Zoom things.
Zoom is not zooming.
So try turning your camera off, Dave, and then maybe close out of OBS and then maybe try again and go back to your normal camera.
Yeah, the button is not even working.
All right, Dave, how about we give you a few moments to get that started, and we're going to flip things around and we're going to call on our FTC panelists of hopefully if they're ready. So Lisa Ramraj, are you able to pop on here, Lisa?
Hello.
Yes. All right, we got Lisa. Welcome, Lisa. We're going to switch the order of the show, flipping things up there. We're going to give Dave some time to get his camera started. Welcome our program manager for the FIRST Tech Challenge and FIRST Canada alum, Lisa Ramraj. And let's bring out our other FTC panelists, starting with Malika and Luca from team 19468, the FTC Alpha Dogs. Hey, what's up? What's up? And we've got Angelina, captain of team ROC Provincial Champions, team 16417. And of course, we've got Armand Sengupta, FIRST Canada alum and Youth Council alum from team 16397, relatively quantum from Brampton. And of course, our Youth Council alum from team 18846 Robotics, Alexander Miller. Hey, everyone. Okay, we got some people here, so this is all good. All right. So Luca, Malika, how are you doing?
We're doing good, Karthik. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. So, you are in grade 12 now. You're excited for the year. What were your first impressions when you saw this FTC game?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. Definitely some different challenges on this field that will be pretty fun to tackle, I think.
Yeah, I'll go next. I mean, immediately seeing it, I thought there was a lot going on. It was overwhelming, and after first, couple of rewatches, couple flip through the manual, and now it's all falling into place. I'm excited to see how different teams tackle it this year.
It's going to be pretty cool. And Alex, what about you? First impressions.
There's a lot to take in. There's a lot of, I think, in this game especially, we're going to have to pick and choose what you want to do, because I don't think you'll be able to do it all. But it is definitely a really complex game, and if you pick and choose wisely, then it should be really good.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot there. But hey, I want to get to Armand's thoughts in a second. But before we do that, I obviously want to get to Lisa's thoughts. Let's take a look at our FTC game animation so everyone can see what this game is all about. Center stage, take it away. All right, we're going to get that animation in just a moment, folks. Oh, like that was my drone sound. Okay, or maybe we're not going to get the animation right now. Maybe we can just kind of jump into the game. So Armand, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you brought up the drones, and that's the first thing that stuck out to me in that game. I haven't seen a game element quite like it in a really long time, so I thought it was a super unique team element. And I was really interested to see like kind of the aerodynamics that teams get up to, like figure out how the best way to get that plane or that drone to the optimal area was. So that was super cool. And then just the intricacy of the whole thing. So including the drone and like all the mosaics you can make, and like it's so complicated this year, and I love it.
Well, hey folks, I think the game animation is ready. So now let's take a look at the game animation.
The primary scoring element is a plastic hexagonal-shaped pixel, 3 inches across by 1/2 inch thick. There are 64 white pixels and 10 each yellow, green, and purple pixels. Teams may construct custom game and scoring elements, including paper drones and team props. The game is played on a 12-foot square playing field with a foam tile floor and 1-foot-high walls. 2 trusses are located midfield. Between the trusses is the hinged stage door. In the back of the field are the backdrops, 1 for each alliance. Beneath the backdrops are taped-off backstage areas. In the front corners are taped-off wings. In each quadrant of the field are 3 separate spike marks. Just inside of the front wall are white pixel location stripes, and outside of the front wall there are 3 taped-off landing zones. April tags are located in the field wall and both backdrops to aid navigation. Blue and red alliance stations are on the left and right sides of the field, and in front of those are the red and blue human player stations. Before each match, pixels are stacked next to each player station and on the inside of the front wall. 4 pixels are placed on the spike marks. However, team props may be substituted for the spike mark pixels. Teams place their robots on the field, touching the side walls. Each team may preload 1 yellow and/or 1 purple pixel onto their robot. Teams may also preload 1 drone onto their robot. The spike mark pixels and team props are then randomized. The field and players are now ready. The match begins with a 30-second autonomous period. During this time, teams may attempt to score using pre-programmed instructions and sensor inputs. A purple pixel placed on the spike mark tape earns 10 points. However, if the spike mark tape has a team prop, placing a purple pixel will earn 20 points. Each pixel in the backstage earns 3 points. And each pixel placed on the backdrop earns 5 points. If a yellow pixel is placed on the backdrop in the location indicated by the spike mark pixel, it earns 10 bonus points. Or 20 points if a team prop was used as an indicator. Robots parked in the backstage earn 5 points. Pixels scored in the autonomous period will also earn points at the end of the driver-controlled period. Following the autonomous period is the 2-minute driver-controlled period. During this time, human players may introduce new pixels into the wings. Each pixel that is placed backstage earns 1 point, and each pixel on the backdrop earns 3 points. Each mosaic of 3 identical or 3 different pixels earns 10 points. If an alliance can build pixels above the set lines, they earn a 10-point bonus for each line they cross. The last 30 seconds of the driver-controlled period is the end game. Robots may continue scoring pixels, and there are also ways to earn bonus points. Robots may launch drones over the truss or stage door and into the landing zones. Depending on where they're parked, they can earn 10, 20, or 30 points. Robots parked in the backstage area earn 5 points. and a robot suspended by the rigging earns 20 points. There are many ways to score in center stage, but there are also rules that, if not followed, will deduct points from your alliance. Robots may not limit the upward motion of the stage door. Robots may not descore pixels from the opposing alliance's backdrop. Intentionally damaging another robot is not allowed. A robot may not affect the flight of an opposing alliance's drone. A robot may not make contact with an opponent suspended from the truss. This has been a summary of this season's game, Center Stage, presented by RTX. For complete.
All right, folks, there it is, Center Stage. I have to say, there is a lot happening in this game. It is pretty cool to see. Angelina, what were your first thoughts about the game?
Yeah, so I think one of the first things I noticed was how navigation is going to be quite a bit harder this year, given that the wing and the backdrop are located diagonally. That means the blue robots and red robots will have to be aware of each other when navigating to these two locations. I also think this means that we'll be spending most of our time in navigation rather than staying stationary, which we saw quite a bit last year during internationals.
Yeah, I mean, in last year's game, like the main strategy for top teams was to kind of park yourself at that one spot and just extend, and do that handoff. And it was cool to see, but I think a game where there's more interaction and there's more navigation is more exciting. That's my opinion. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And also because teams have to cross the field, like you have to get around your opponent. There's going to be some blocking in there. Luka Malika, I know you all did FRC last year, so you've seen that, what happens when there's crisscross at the center of the field. All sorts of things can happen. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Luka Malika, other initial thoughts on the game?
I mean, I think that there's just so many different things going on. There's so many different ways that you can score, and so much, like, it's almost complicated because of all of the different, like, the patterns that you have to think about, and then there's scoring elements outside of the field with the drones, and there's just so much to think about, and so the strategy and where we're focusing on earning points. And I think somebody said this before, you can't do everything. You really have to pick and choose what we're doing. I think Alexandra said that. And yeah, what do you think, Luca?
I think communication is going to be really vital this year. Not only communicating with your alliance member to just travel across the field without bumping into them, but also figuring out which pixels you're going to place to guarantee those mosaics and really increase those points instead of wasting time with just whites or filling it up with the wrong colors.
Yeah, definitely.
All really, really good points. So I want to kind of for our audience, kind of talk about some basic aspects of the game and maybe first impressions on how you might want to do this. So the first one is acquiring pixels. Does anyone have any thoughts on, hey, like, how would I acquire pixels?
So to me, when I saw the pixels, it kind of reminded me a lot of the Ultimate Goal Rings, in that there is a roughly similar size with a center cutout. And so I think a lot of intakes that work well for Ultimate Goal could serve a similar purpose in center stage. So yeah, that's the first thing that kind of came to my mind. Of course, there's always a flaw, but typically this is consistent year to year. And then is that flaws are not as fast as active intakes. And we've seen active intakes have good success with objects similar to this, like Ultimate Goal. So that's kind of what first came to my mind.
Okay, so you're thinking, like, when you're talking about an active intake, similar to Ultimate Goal, you're thinking about like a roller system.
Yeah, so roller, flaps, surgical tubing, stuff like that.
Yep. Okay. Lisa, we haven't heard from you yet. You're a veteran of many FRC games, and now you've been the program manager for FTC, so you've seen pretty much every FTC robot in the province up close. What are your thoughts?
It's going to be really interesting. I'd be curious if this year, if people are thinking they'll prioritize getting the pixels from the field or the human player station, because there is something about like the consistency of like having of like parking into a spot and like knowing how to get there so that you can like really tighten your cycle times versus like aligning and having your driver do all that work to like get the specific ones on the field.
Angelina, do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think something really interesting this year is that there's no blue or red distinction between the pixels, which means that teams can essentially take from any of the stacks. And I think that they will also be incentivized to do this since it's more of a linear driving pattern rather than having to travel diagonally to their own assigned station. Yeah, I think that's definitely something to think about.
Also, that's a great point, Angelina. And if you think about any game where there are a limited amount of scoring objects on the field, if they are shared, every object that you take that's closer to the opponent, that's a huge win for you because you're taking away their easy abilities to score. So we've seen that in games where like game objects kind of become available in the center of the field. If you can get those ones in the center of the field, because you know the ones that are close, you think you're going to be able to have them. It's that sort of sniping. So that's really interesting. Amelia, so you haven't done FTC before, but you're an FRC veteran. What do you, when you see these pixels, not knowing much about the world of FTC, how do you think about acquiring them?
I kind of think of them kind of like the game pieces that we have for FRC, like last year how we had like the cubes and the cones. So I think it all like really depends on like how I guess your claw or whatever arm your robot uses like picks it up, and then like I guess kind of like what Angelina was saying, if you're gonna drive linear or diagonal to go and score those pieces. But it's really cool how like there's no distinction this year, like with being able to pick up other people's pieces and stuff. So I really like that.
Yeah, it is very, very neat. Now, before we leave acquiring pixels and move on to the next thing, there's a possession limit in this year's game. You can hold up to 2 pixels. Folks, initial thoughts? Do you want to just do a roller claw or a pinch claw that can only do 1? Or you say, oh, I have to be able to do 2 at a time? What are people thinking?
I definitely think 2 at a time is going to be the way to go, especially because the points per pixel is not that high. And if you want to get your points up, you're always, and because the distance is so far, and you're always going to have to like be traveling. So I think definitely if you're doing an intake system, make sure it can like grab 2 of them, and then also like maybe a scooper thing, because I know like kind of like a scooping into an intake system maybe, just because that some of them are on stacks. So you don't want to limit yourself to them having to be like lined up on the ground. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I definitely think like picking up both will be the way to go.
I have to
All
agree
right.
with, sorry, go ahead.
No, you first, Armand.
I was gonna say, I definitely agree with Alexandra that even if you're like a super rookie team and you don't have, the facilities to do anything complicated, you definitely want to look at prioritizing being able to pick up and store at least 2. And there's a lot of good robot designs out there that store 2. I know Robotics has come out with their basic bot, which is a super simple design, and it's still able to pick up 2. And I think that's super important for the reasons mentioned, that you'll be at a significant disadvantage just because of that diagonal distance you have to cross if you're not able to hold 2. And if you go back each time to just get 1. So even as a rookie team, I think prioritizing being able to intake and hold 2 at the same time is really important.
So is everyone thinking 2? Is everyone thinking 2? Because then we could just like, yeah. I mean, it's like it halves your cycle times, and it's, if you think about how a roller claw works, you can position 2 so they chain up, or you can do 2 in a stack. There's lots of different ways. We'll be showing one of the robot in 30 hours in a little bit, where it's just fantastic what they've come up with really quickly. Now it is alumni who've done it, not high school students, so like they got a little bit of an edge, but they only had 30 hours. You have a lot more than that, so it'll be exciting to take a look at that in a second. Okay, I want to talk about scoring the pixels now. I have a lot of thoughts. And Lisa, you have a lot of thoughts, but I want to hold to hear what everyone else says before you and I can provide our little bit of a sermon. So does anyone have any initial thoughts or things that jump out at you that are going to be important to pay attention to when you are scoring pixels? So we have already intaked them in whatever intake you have. Now you have gotten to the backdrop and you're about to score them. What should you be thinking about?
I would definitely be thinking about how you can get them from your intake to like maybe your mechanism as fast as possible. I checked out the game manual. They really don't seem to have rules quite yet, maybe placed around like launching them onto the board. But as you can see, like the board is very tall. Now that might be risky because like it is very thin. But if teams can find a way that it can launch and kind of slide down, that'll definitely speed it up. And then just in terms of like making sure your claw is super fast, and maybe if your goal is to like stack them up beyond the lines, then making sure to definitely build a claw that can extend all the way to the top of the board.
All right. What about Luca, Malika?
Yeah, definitely agree. I think cycle time, like with every single aspect, and like we talked about intake, moving and extending the arm, being able to reach to the highest point, being able to have, if you're holding to some kind of control about if you have two different colors, what the placement is, because thinking about the patterns being made and how those score points and things like that, and just being able to do these things precisely and quickly, very efficiently. What do you think, Luca?
Yeah, so we got our field kit today, and we were just playing around with the backstage and just dropping pixels on it from different heights. And we found that it does bounce from a really short height and falls into different areas, which when you're just scoring those white pieces doesn't matter too much. But when you're going for those mosaics and you really need that precision, you're going to need a scoring mechanism that can really do pretty much every single inch on that backdrop just to make sure you're really getting exactly where you want and getting that pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah, definitely about precision and like being able to control the placement for sure.
So Luca, Malika, if you're talking about controlling the placement, that almost lends itself to like some sort of slanted elevator, right?
Yeah, precisely. Without saying what we're thinking, what we were thinking.
Well, I said what you're thinking, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think because the arm you can drop from any height, and that's still good. Like remember, everyone has to come at this from their own resource level and everything. And a single jointed arm is like really simple. You drop from a height or whatever. But if you want that precision, being able to go to the different heights and release it just above the one that's below is going to be really important. Angelina, what are you thinking here about what are important things to think about when you're trying to score pixels?
Yeah, so I think before thinking about the arrangement of the pixels, it's really important to make sure navigation is extremely precise. Yeah, basically after playing with the physical backdrop here at the workshop for the past few days, I've noticed it's extremely easy to just score not just a few of your points, but basically all of your points if you hit or flip the backdrop over. And yeah, I think that's something to be aware of, since like we do see a lot of cases of robots just losing control, and that will really cause a lot of harm this year since the backdrop isn't like mounted or fixed on anything.
So I'm going to pass it to Lisa right now because I know she has thoughts on tapping the backdrop.
My first instinct when I watched this game that really like broke my mind for a second is that in FRC, it's like my design philosophy is like hit the backdrop, score, hit whatever you're going to because they use straighten up and everything like that. But you can't because you cannot risk knocking that thing over, knocking it and like having all the pixels fall off. So it's going to be really interesting. It's like, how are you going to line up to score is like going to be the biggest thing. So maybe we're going to see a lot of people using those what are they called? Those I'm drawing a blank. April tags. Thank you. April tags to really line up so that you can be precise and like however your mechanism that puts the pixels out does not in any way, shape, or form touch the backdrop. That'll be really interesting.
So what's neat with the April tags is, I mean, you can do a lot of things with the April tags, but one thing you can do is you can make your robot slow down as it detects the April tag. So you're getting close, so you're not going to slam into it. Because I'm a big believer in general of the drive it like you stole it philosophy, and you just slam into your goal and that's going to align it. You cannot do that this year. Like the videos are out there. You tap that thing, things are going to be coming off. So that's concern number one. Here's concern number two. The backdrop, I'll use my phone right here, is at an angle. Oh, everything's mirrored, so this is going to be weird, but it's at an angle, And if you go to drop a pixel and you're coming at this angle, it might hit and bounce. Or if you're coming too far off and you drop it, it might go. You really got to get your angle of release to match the angle of the backdrop. And that's a discrete sort of thing. Once you think about it, it's not that hard to do. If you design with it, a 4-bar, you can mirror the angles. You can do chain bars, you can set the angles. Slanted elevator, you set your elevator angle to match the angle of the backdrop. Lots of things you can do, but if you don't think about it, if you drop this from too far, instead of sliding down, it's going to hit and bounce, or worse, you're going to drop it like this, and then it's going to fall right off. And so that is one of those things that looks easy, but is kind of hard. And so I think that's going to be one that's important. Armand, do you have some thoughts here on scoring pixels?
Yeah, so like I think there's obviously we can talk a lot about the mechanisms, and I think we brought up a few already in terms of how to do things, but even just like what you want to do in the first place, because there's strategies that people might want to just quickly cycle as fast as possible, just white pixels, to be able to just dump as many as you can on the back there. Whereas some other teams will be much more intentional with it, where they're trying to create those mosaics and they're really targeting specific colors, which might take longer, but then you get those bonuses. So I think, and then there's also the matter of do you try to build as high as possible to stack over the line, because you get some points for that, not a whole lot, but 10 for each line. But then also each time it's getting more unstable. That's a test that people have done, and the higher those go up, the more unstable you get. So that's also a trade-off. So I think just coming up with a strategy and determining what you even want to do in the first place is going to be very influential to how do you do it later with a mechanism. And like we've been mentioning, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Elevators, virtual 4-bars, I think are going to be very popular this year. Yeah.
So, Angelina, you've mentioned this, and Luca and Malika, you've mentioned this. So you all have access to fields already. So anything you want to tell the audience who may not have their fields yet, just that you've noticed that you might not have realized when you saw the game?
Yeah, so for me, I think it was definitely mostly around a backdrop, since once you get it, you'll notice just how unstable it is. Yeah, I think that was
Yeah, so the backdrop stability, that's one, I haven't seen a physical field yet, so that's good to kind of confirm my suspicions there. Alpha Dogs, what are you thinking?
No, that's pretty much exactly what we were thinking. We got that backdrop and we're like, this is just like, it's pretty close to just flimsy plastic, and it is definitely going to be really hard to make stable. But otherwise, everything just nothing else really surprised us.
All right, yeah, that's really interesting there. So, Amelia, you have any thoughts on about scoring pixels?
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy to see that comparing to FRC. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything where like the board on which you score on is like can flip over. So that's going to be really difficult. And I think a lot of it will come down to like the teamwork you form with the alliances, like making sure you guys have like communication and are like kind of communicating what you want each other to kind of focus on, because I think that's really going to help, especially with making sure that these, I guess, pixels don't flip over, or that you're scoring as much points as possible.
Yeah, there's these pixels are neat. So strategically, are mosaics important?
I think definitely yes. Just because once again, like you're only allowed to bring over 2 at a time. That means, and especially because like the cross field element, it's gonna be a lot to like travel back and forth and getting only 2 pixels. So if you can maximize them. However, if you're aiming for going higher, but I feel like a lot of rookie teams may not build an arm that could go all the way to the top. And also like as you go upwards, like that's going to be easier to tip over the board. And as I think Luca said before, like it can bounce off the bottom if you drop it from a height. So just making sure, like if you are going for the lower ones, then I would definitely choose your colors and like make those mosaics to get the bonus points.
Okay, folks. Now I want to talk about endgame, because we're just blazing through this. There's so much to talk about in this game. But for the endgame, first off, suspending. Let's do this one quick, because I want to leave a lot of time to talk about the drones. But suspending. Any initial thoughts on this? Is this something you want to do? Thoughts on how you would do it? Easy, hard?
I think it's a fairly easy task for a lot of teams to do, especially because we already have a lifting mechanism to be able to score those pixels. So a lot of the time that you could just integrate a hook into that lifting mechanism to be able to lift yourself up. And we've even seen some stuff in FRC recently in terms of passive climbs, which might be something interesting to look into, because it is below kind of that 18, but you want to go underneath, so maybe a hook that could flip up and you could passive climb onto it. But I think even simpler than that is simply just attaching your hooks to your climbing mechanism, because you're going to have an arm or a lift or something like that. And a lot of teams have already shown good success with just simply throwing a hook on there and using the same mechanism for 2 purposes.
So Armand, for the audience, on the physics of that piece, because if you're trying to gear your arm really fast, obviously because you want to fast cycles, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You think you can still get the torque required to lift an FTC robot?
You could, well, the thing is power is limited. So if you need the torque and the speed, then you need more power, and you can only get that with multiple motors. So if you're
Okay.
looking for both torque and speed, then you're going to have to use more than one motor. But you can always make that trade-off to go slower and get the torque needed. So you can slow down the arm and still use one motor and then get the torque. But if you want both, you're going to need to use more than one motor. But two motors should be able to get you a good ratio of speed and torque.
Gotcha. Any other thoughts that people have on suspending? Nah, Luke is just like, nah, it's whatever. Okay.
Shameless plug for FTC Sim to check out how our robot that we put in there scores and uses its scoring mechanism to hang.
And where can they
No
find that, Lisa?
promises on physics. No promises on the physics actually working out, but it's a place to start. We'd love to see it if you build something like it.
And where can they find that, Lisa?
ftcsim.org.
There we go. All right, folks, we got a couple more minutes here. I want to make sure that we have time to talk about the Robot in 30 Hours video, but drones. Folks, what do we think about drones? Paper airplanes. Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, no way. Like, I was like, if I'm going to be in this game, I will not be throwing a drone. It's so much of a risk, and especially because you have to be behind the bars too. If your drone misses and then you get penalties against you, I think if you like go out the sides or something, so if anything goes wrong or like your drone goes berserk, then like you're losing those points, and that's a lot of time taken away from doing other things in the end game. So I just think personally, no. And because as Armand said before, you already have a claw mechanism to get those like pixels up to the top, may as well use it for suspending as well to get those points. And especially because the most points, 10 points is not a lot, and that's probably where most drones are going to land. But if you really want those 30 points, you're probably not going to be able to like reliably depend on that with like a paper airplane kind of thing.
Love it, Alex.
I might throw in a contrarian opinion there.
Go for it. That's what we're here for.
So with that, I think that a good thing about the drone, in terms of, if we're not talking about the time it takes for your team to develop it, I'm assuming that's not a factor. It's that you could probably score that drone while you're hanging. So while your robot is going up to hang, the drone can be launched at the same time. So it's not actually taking up much more time, and you don't lose anything if it fails. So it's kind of one of those things that it's not going to hurt you in any way, and you can just go ahead and do it. The only other thing is how much time it takes for you to develop up the thing. But I think it's a really cool thing because what you're able to do is it's a completely isolated subsystem. So you're able to give that to a couple of members of your team, and they're able to work on that just completely separately to everything else. It doesn't need to be integrated. So I think there's really no loss in trying for it. And it's something that doesn't take up extra time because, again, you can do it while you're lifting your robot up and hanging.
Angelina, any thoughts on the drones?
Yeah, my team will definitely be trying this out since it's also quite early in the season and we do have a little bit more time. But yeah, we were also thinking to launch the drones while also completing the suspending part of the end game. Yeah, I think like it just leaves a lot of room for variation in designs, and I think that's always something really exciting to be able to see what other teams come up with.
It is very, very cool. All right, folks, we are running out of time here, but I want to take a look at one of the Robot in 30 Hours videos and get people's impressions of this one. So, and we can get to final thoughts, anything that we missed out on right after this. So let's take a look from, this is made by a group of alumni from FTC Team 7129, the Robo Raiders from Lebanon, Illinois in the United States. And we can talk over this one, folks, because we had to mute it to make sure the Twitch music copyright people don't come chasing us down. So
yeah,
pick it up.
So this is really interesting. Like, I think it's kind of the horizontal version of the Rev Robotics one. The Rev Robotics one kind of goes into the robot, and this one is just two beside each other. So two.
So yeah, it's a neat one there. But the arm is so simple, one joint, and then see how they align so they get the angle right. Yeah. This is what I'm talking about.
Okay, but part of me is like skeptical about how they have their backdrop like supported at the back right now. I feel like it looks like it's leaning up against a table. Yeah. So I feel like it's not realistic to how, because their intake is like their scoring mechanism is touching the backdrop when they do that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you
same thing. Like and especially if you see how like big kind of like the recoil is, like you know that they're shooting that arm up pretty fast. So like hitting the backdrop at that speed is definitely going to knock over some of the pixels, I think.
Yeah, so it's like cool idea. It's just work on that part.
And I think that's
as
one
we're
thing
talking,
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just like watching this drone launcher. I'm like, this is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, yeah, I know, it's really cool. I've seen so many cool ways that people have been launching drones, and they're also unique. It's like there's spring ones, there's motor ones. It's really cool.
Yeah, and so the robot's just gonna kind of spin around here, but you can see kind of more, a little bit more. And again, this is what we're talking about, using an arm to possibly hang. And so like they
Mhm.
struggled with it a little bit, they kind of faked it there. But then here we go. So there's a lot of neat things that we saw in there. Thank you to Team 7129. 30 hours come up with something like that is really, really impressive. It's wild. Alpha Dogs, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, similar to like what we were talking about, watching it line up, it looks like it kind of like bounces a little bit on the back. And I mean, that would easily cause like the game pieces to fall off. And I don't know, there's just a lot of like risk with something like that when it's touching the back, because in our experience with the field so far, it could very easily fall off, slide off if you hit it too hard.
So want to ask, like, run on the thing. Is the consensus here from the people who have fields that the backdrop is flimsier than it looks in the animation?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's one part of the animation where I think it's talking about how robots can't impact other people's and all of them fall off. I feel like that's what it would look like if you just
Okay.
tapped it.
Angelina?
yeah, I think most of the alignment should be done through the April tags rather than like having a mechanism that interacts or pushes against the backdrop to align. Yeah, I think like that would have been possible in like the previous years, since most of the things were like nailed in place. But this year will be really hard to continue to employ some of those mechanisms, and we'll have to work a little bit more on our vision systems.
All right, folks. We are rapidly running out of time here. So does anyone have any final thoughts that they really need to get off their chest right now that they can do quickly?
Just one last thing. I think for rookie teams especially, it would be a really good idea to make your robot able to go under the bars. So, because I think like you can see robots kind of lifting up the bar for other robots, or like finding ways to go under the higher parts. If you can go into those low parts, do that. Like if you can make your robot as like height-wise short as possible, I would focus on that.
I think that plays off of perfectly what Angelina opened us up with, talking about the importance of navigation. You could navigate the field. If you don't have to worry about it, you just kind of go. So that makes a really good point. Lisa, you are the expert on all things FTC. What final thoughts?
Get your fields as soon as possible while you're waiting for your fields, and look. Oh, also read the manual, read game manual 1 and 2 again and again and again and again before you start building your robot or start designing. But also, while you're waiting for your field and while you're waiting to get all your parts, check out FTC Sim, and you can check out and play and try things out on our center stage field. Almost said power play, but we have a robot in there, so you can check it out. It's kind of like a little bit of a starting point. Again, no promises on the physics actually translating to real life on the robot itself. Coding wise, pretty darn close. So yeah, have fun at ftcsim.org.
All right, folks, this has been a great segment. Thank you for everyone for coming on, and I hope to see all of you at an event somewhere this season, either competing with your teams or as volunteers. We always need more people, and maybe we'll see you at Provincial Championship. We can like revisit and talk about all the things that we thought and what we were right about, what we were wrong about, and how this game's going to play out. It's going to be really fun. Good luck to your teams. And Angelina, by the way, congratulations on your teams, all your successes from last year. Always cool to have a Canadian team representing us at the World Championship, which was neat to see. All right, folks, we are going to be back with our next segment, which will be President Dave Ellis after a word from one of our sponsors, 3M.
So first robotics competition is the epitome of the robotics competitions here in Canada. It's an opportunity for high school students to get involved in the engineering design of an entire robotics system.
People think robotics is all about building the robot, right? But building the robot is only half the challenge. Building the robot is actually a vehicle for you to build your own self.
For our Canadian manufacturers to stay competitive, there's a lot of automation and robotics that have to go into our manufacturing facilities. So the skills that the kids are learning in this competition hit that mark spot on.
There's definitely the technical ones. I've learned how to do CAD design. I've learned how to work machines. But one of the really, really big ones that I really like is and I think it's really important in this world, is I've learned how to work with a team. Without being able to work as a team going into industry, it's not going to work out.
There are absolutely skills that the students are using today that are things that we use in professional careers that have to do with STEM. They are learning how to communicate. They are learning how to collaborate. They're learning how to think outside the box so that they're not limiting themselves to one thing. They're getting to do coding, marketing, design, engineering, science, the whole 9 yards all together.
It really teaches you all these different skills that you wouldn't think that you would know. It teaches you, how to work with other people, how to do soft skills, communication, teamwork, leadership, all that kind of stuff.
Some of our alumni have gone on to receive excellent scholarships at top-tier universities, and because of that, they've started getting known well by top-tier companies, which allows our brand to carry on as they work for large technological companies in the programming sector, in the automation sector. It's really interesting to see where we end up.
All right, folks, we are back. Amelia, this FTC game, isn't that wild? Isn't it so cool?
It's really, really cool. I'm kind of envious now. Maybe I should switch to an FTC team.
Or maybe help get an FTC team started. We can find things out. We can help you out. Lisa will talk to you for sure. But at the least, Amelia, got to get you to volunteer at an FTC event. Maybe get some other youth council members out. We'll have a blast.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love that.
Okay. All right, folks, let's bring out for a second time, president of First Canada and 2017 Championship First Lego League Challenge Volunteer of the Year Award winner, Mr. Dave Ellis.
All right. We're going to go with
Dave.
that.
There we go. We got you. No spinning circle of doom.
No spinning circle of doom. Sorry about that earlier. Nice pivot. That was a good segment that you had there. That was excellent.
That was fabulous. Dave, hey, before we get started, what are your thoughts on the FTC game?
I actually really like it. I wasn't sure at first, but then having all of that digestion with the group prior to me, I really feel a lot better about the various aspects. I really like the drone out of the box. When I saw that at first, I was like, oh my gosh, a drone, that's amazing. I've been talking about wanting first to adopt drones in the program for a while now. And so I think that's a really neat way to integrate them in there. And who doesn't like building paper airplanes, right? So I think it'll be, and that the distance that it's got to travel and the way you have to shoot it, I think is an engineering challenge in and of itself, right? So designing something that's really aerodynamic and then figuring out some way of shooting it, that robot in 30 hours that's not how I would have envisioned shooting them. I thought there would be like flywheels and spinning it off that way, but
there are definitely some out there on the web right now, Dave, that are using that flywheel method. So
all right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how those play out. And when Alex said she wouldn't do it, I was like, oh no, I hope that's not the case. I hope that people do it because I think it's fun. So that's my hope anyway. Yeah.
What I find really interesting about it is when I was a kid, whenever you make a paper airplane, it was always about, let's make one, see how far it'll go.
Yeah, for sure.
Never really thought about precision. So this one, you're just like, no, you have to make it go a specific distance. It's like, okay, there's some thinking, because initially, my brain's just the ones you make as a kid, you can make paper airplane launcher just with an elastic band or whatever. You load it up, it goes and whatever. But that one just goes. You don't have control over it. So there's a lot for the teams to think about. I also like that if you are new to engineering and STEM, it's like, okay, building a robot can be really intimidating. But most people as a kid have played around with a paper airplane. So it could be like, okay, at least I know about how to make paper airplanes work. It's like, I know, if you bend it this way, it goes and the nose dips or whatever. The engineering process where it's eliminating the barriers of entries where you might I don't know how to code, or I don't actually know how to use a screwdriver. There's still ways to get access. I think it's neat. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, picture that first build session, right? The kids are there for the first time. You've got some kid that has never been part of robotics. They show up because their friend dragged them along, and then suddenly you're like, they're like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing, right? They're feeling apprehensive about it, and then you're like, okay, today we're just going to build an airplane. We're just gonna build a paper airplane. Everybody, and just have a paper airplane drawing contest. I think that would be like a fun way to start off the build season with the team, and gives everybody a chance to feel like they've contributed, and they're already part of the team. They're already an engineer. So I think that's cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
So Dave, I guess I'll start with Amelia. You got any questions for Dave, Amelia?
Yeah, so we wanted to ask you basically the same question that Karthik asked me earlier. How was your summer? I heard that you went on vacation, am I correct?
Yeah, I took a couple of weeks. I went up to the cottage and spent a couple of weeks there with family. So that was nice. It's always nice to be up there, and it's one of my favorite places to be. It's just peaceful, right? To be at by the water and swimming and canoeing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was a good time. It was nice to mix that in with some work as well. Of course, it was pretty busy summer work wise, but had a good mix that way. And I played beach volleyball this summer, which was cool. This is my second year doing that. I love it. I think it's a fun way to be outside and enjoying the sand and kicking around that way and stuff. I like that you can just like dive, just throw your body all over the place and it doesn't hurt, right? So when you get old, it doesn't feel too bad when you're landing in the sand. And I even played a little tennis this year. There's a tennis court up the street from us, and so we signed up to do tennis this year. So that was the first time I played that. Well, since I was a teenager, so a long time ago.
All right, Dave. So you talked about what you've been up to this summer, but what has First Canada been up to this summer?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to it, the fact that it's been a busy summer. We tried something new this year. It's something that we've been thinking about for quite a few years now. We've been kind of bouncing around the idea of teaching our FRC teams to run summer camps. And I've run a summer camp for a long time personally, and it's always a good time. The kids have a great time, and I have had fun leading it. But it's always been like, oh, how are we going to pull this off? And do we have funding to make it a real go? And so we applied for some funding with the foundation, and we got it. And they were really excited about the leadership opportunities of this experience for the kids. It was interesting more for the FRC students, that leadership opportunity of running a camp and leading other children. And so we really worked hard through the spring and in recruiting some teams and recruiting kids to come and attend. And we had a few goals out of it. And it revolved around some of the challenges that we hear from FRC teams all the time, right? One of them is trying to raise funds is hard, especially after coming out of COVID. Some teams lost sponsorships because either businesses were small and shut down, or they moved on to other things, changed their priorities, et cetera. And you're always at the whim of kind of what the sponsor decides they want to do with their funds in any given year. So we wanted to try and help them be self-sustaining. And so the idea is that long term, this will be the case for these teams, where they'll be able to run a summer camp, they'll be able to manage the number of weeks that they run, and therefore the amount of money they can make through that, but hopefully have a consistent source of income to raise for their teams. And that was kind of one goal. Another goal was to help them recruit teams, right? Or kids. So it's a nice pipeline creation. You're getting kids to come to your camp, and then hopefully you promote your FRC team or your FTC team, and then those kids maybe join your high school or join the team as a result of that promotion. So that was another big piece of it. And then of course the student leadership and giving the opportunity for our high school students to learn some marketable skills to be able to take those in other areas as well. So I thought all in all, it was really a big win. And I had fun. I worked really closely with Annika Pint, our FLL Challenge Program Manager, who's the FLL Challenge expert. And the two of us were working pretty hard on the curriculum, the training for the FRC students who are participating in this training. And I had a great time being part of that delivery too. So that was fun to see that come to fruition. And then of course we just finished the CNE, right? So the CNE is a big part of the summer for us as First Canada, 18 days down there. And I thought it was really good. I was down there for a couple of days, just kind of volunteering with the little program booth that we had set up there, which was neat. It was nice to see, parents coming by with their kids and often the parents kind of are interested in what's going on there, sometimes more so than the kids, and the kids are kind of shy in some cases. And so, do you want to try and program a robot, or do you want to try and drive a robot? We had FTC robot there too, so there was always that kid that was kind of shy, but then as soon as they got in there, they were hooked. So that was kind of neat to do for a couple of days as well through the summer. We had about 2,500 people come through the booth, so that was pretty neat. And then, of course, we had if you were down there, you would have seen it. We had the big FRC field down there, of course, as well. And that was down there all 18 days. And, big shout out to Thomas Dick and Joey Bucci who helped support that initiative and stepped up when we needed some help there. And they made the CNE a big success. And of course, a shout out to Jamie Sin, who organized the off season at the CNE as well. So that was the Labor Day weekend. So as the summer wrapped up, we had a big off season there. I think there were about 24 teams that competed, and it's a good chance, for the FRC students who are, new to the team, to get a chance to see what an event is like and to try things out, and also a chance for us to try volunteers out in various roles where it's kind of low stakes and stuff. So I think that was the big part of the summer for us. I think was the camps and then the CNE.
So sounds like there was a lot going on, is what you're saying.
There was a lot going on. Yeah. It was good though. It was fun.
That's fabulous. So that was the the summer before, but now, we're into the new season. FTC just had their kickoff. FLL Challenge had their kickoff a while ago. Their game's been out there. Discover, they've been going. They've received their materials or whatever. Dave, what are you most excited for this upcoming season?
Well, like right around the corner is the FLL Challenge kickoff on October 1st in Toronto, and that for me kind of like brings me back to my FLL roots, right? Because that's where I got started with first, and so I like that. It's nice to see old friends there and connect, reconnect with people. So looking forward to that, of course. It's always an interesting day too because it's a mix of like experienced teams and rookie teams, and so it's nice to see teams teaching teams what we do at first, right? But it's nice to see that played out. Of course, FTC just had their kickoff this past weekend, which is exciting, and those the people that were on prior to me, just a nice mix of alumni that are off to university as well as existing team members, which they all brought really insightful comments to that discussion. I thought everybody really played a deep part in discussing that game and really digesting it a little bit, which is really neat. And I liked also that Armand was like, "Oh, I'm going to come in with something contrary to Alex," and I was like, "That's cool. That's good. That's what like you said. That's what we're here to do, right?"
If you have a game where there's no disagreement when talking about design and strategy, wherever, it's not actually a good game. If everyone's going to do the exact same thing, it's kind of boring or whatever. So that's a testament to it, And Alex and Armand are two of the most experienced FTC alumni in the province. They've been doing this since the beginning, so it's
both cool. Teams list winners.
Yeah, both exactly. It's like just the all-star panelists right there. All right, Dave. Hey, we are running out of time, but some quick rapid fire right here. Dave,
let's do it.
A hidden talent.
Hidden talent. I'm not sure I have any hidden talent, hidden or otherwise. I can juggle. I don't know if that's a talent or not.
All right, cool. I think Dave just signed up to be entertainment at the provincial championship. He's going to do some juggling for us. Okay, there we go. Favorite food?
Favorite food? Probably peaches. So it's a sad moment right now. Peaches are wrapping up. Yeah.
I'm a peaches guy. You remember that song, Peaches? Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Look out. Okay, well, another time.
Song, like the one from the Mario movie. Like the peaches.
Amelia, now we know Karthik's hidden talent is like singing. It's good.
As President of the United States of America, peaches. It was big when I was in high school.
Now we know Karthik's going to do it. Provincials.
Oh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Okay, we got to go really rapid fire. Dave, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Barbie.
Okay, summer or fall?
Summer.
If you could play any sport professionally, what would it be?
I got to say hockey.
Okay. Will the Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, and one last one. Will a Canadian team win the first championship this year in one of the programs?
I think we always have a very strong chance of winning World Championships, so I'm going to say yes, and I think we could win in two different programs.
Ooh, there we go. There we go. Hey, Dave, thank you so much for being here. Sorry, we got to run this up. There's so much happening
Yeah,
first
no
week,
worries.
everything like that. And thank you for everything. We're looking forward to a great season, folks. Dave Ellis will be at events all season long. Come up and chat with him. He loves to hear your stories, especially wants to hear those anecdotes about gracious professionalism and all the good things that you're up to. And it's going to be a great one. Thanks, Dave. And we're going to be back in just a moment after this. All right, Amelia, what Peach song were you thinking of?
I was
Like from-
thinking of the Mario movie one, the one that
Oh,
like,
okay.
everyone was obsessed with for a while, like the
Yeah,
peaches, yeah.
See, I went really old school, like a song from when I was in high school. Okay, so yeah, you gotta look that one up on Spotify. Presidents of the United States of America, Peaches. It's a good song. It's a good song. All right, folks. Now, someone who knows about lots of old school music. He's always kicking it old school. The education director for First Robotics Canada and 2010 Woody Flowers Finalist Award winner, Mr. John Hobbins.
Hey, Karthik, great to be here with you. And what a great segue. One of my best friends, musical lyricist, Eminem, stating sign, it's good to be back.
There you
So
go.
here we
there you go.
are. Yeah.
One of your best friends, you and him just like chill, all the time. You just cross the river and go see him on
I know
8th
people.
Mile. Exactly.
Yeah.
John, thank you for being here. Amelia, you want to start off with a question for John?
Yeah. So once again, how was your summer?
Wow, I got to tell you, it's just incredible. We went away for more than 4.5 weeks, traveling across Europe, places like Lisbon, the Algarve in Portugal, Madrid, Canary Islands, Barcelona, Montreal, and then back to hometown. So it was really quite exciting and really enjoyed it. Got my mind off everything.
That's fabulous. And that's impressive because it's hard to get your mind off at first, John, because like there's pretty much no one I know who lives and breathes first more than you.
Yeah, it was kind of, I can't go because I got too much to think about for first. And it's funny how we do that, right? We put first in front of everything, but we know that we need to seek for balance.
Yeah. So John, tell us a little bit about your new role.
Well, I'm so excited to be in a position to work closely with teachers, mentors, school boards, basically to help reduce the hurdles that the teams face. And working together to make fostering first programs in classrooms and competition landscapes is easier for everyone involved. I've been keen to work at building first communities, increasing overall supports for our teams, and increased support for rookies. This in addition to supporting the idea of takeaways for participants in first, so anyone involved in the program. When you leave first, what might you take away? What could that look like? Would you have a skills passport that identifies all those cool skills that you acquired during your first journey that could help put you in advanced placement or co-op programs, advanced placements in different programs, and to check those boxes off like on University of Waterloo on the secondary application to be recognized as a leader.
Well, that sounds fantastic, John. I think you have some slides you wanted to show us.
Yeah, sure. If you want to go to the slide, I could just do a quick walkthrough. It kind of gives you a good glance at everything involved. I've got a new education initiative that really covers 4 basic areas. And as soon as that slide comes up, you'll see what those 4 key areas are. And this is really important for all of you, because when you look at that, you'll see the key areas that we're going to try to make inroads to help you. And you might find that some of those key areas affect you. And the best way to address them is to call one of our staff, and to see about getting going. So rookies, just as an example, they're going to get free placements in their off-season events this year. Qualifying event release support for some of the teachers that can go to that piece to make it easier to be involved. New rookie teams are going to get 2 XRP robots each, and with some training with that. That is a little picture of an XRP robot there. And then support. So support's come in a large way, and we know everybody needs support. So from teacher training to anti-burnout strategies for the teachers, how can we help them not burn out and spend so much time at the schools? building the partnerships and sponsorships, and of course, curriculum. Making it meaningful to bring what you're going to do in the classroom and apply it to the robotics competitive team, whether that's FTC, FLL, or FRC. Really important is the idea of community. So we know that if you have a community around you, and that community supports you from your school administration, to the school board, to the other teams in your school board, as a collective group, there'll be a ton of support there. So we're going to work to nurture that, to make sure that everybody is on board. In the bottom right, you can see the idea of careers and path or skills passports, which is really about what would be the documentation or evidence of what you've learned in first that you could take with you when you leave first and show people, instead of just saying, oh, I was a programmer, I was the best programmer on the team, I did some Python and I did this, but that doesn't really tell them anything. They need to see the evidence of it. And that would include certifications and so on. And just a little star on the bottom left, just a bit of a hint of what could be coming down the road, the idea of a membership in FIRST Robotics Canada. How cool would that be? How would you see yourself more involved beyond the team that you're involved with?
Wow, John, this is there's a lot going on here. So your new role, how do you if you were to kind of summarize, how do you think this new role is going to help our teams?
Yeah, well, we've learned over the years from experience and listening, getting all the feedback from everybody and seeing this lessons learned replayed over and over again. And the idea that mentors need help to manage the programs, not just help from us, but help with understanding within their support structure in the schools, not having hurdles put in front of them so they can't do all the good work that they want to do. So we believe that we could be an advocate on behalf of the teams out there, the coaches, the mentors, and working with building the awareness with the school boards or the key decision makers to understand that what the teams are trying to do in the schools is really valuable to the kids.
That's
Yeah,
fabulous.
so I just wanted to know, what are the expected outcomes of such a robust education program? I know you mentioned something about a skills passport. That seems really, really cool.
It is. And, in some schools now, some kids will be involved in the skills passport, for example. But we want to take that idea and leverage it for everybody in FIRST. So ultimately down the road from K to 12, involvement in FIRST. And when you become an alumni, the skill sets that you have, you've got a resume, you've got this passport of everything you've acquired, from specific technical skills all the way through to essential skills in business, leader management, all that, and certifications. Because you think about the badge program, then the badge program going up to micro certifications and so much more. So it's really going to be a real bonus. But the bottom line, what underpins all this is what do we put in place to grow the overall participation in FIRST programs? And that's all FIRST programs from FLL to FTC through FRC.
That is, sorry, John, keep going.
Well, and I was going to say that the idea is, what can we do to ease the sense of burden on mentors and teachers to say, I'm going to get involved, I'm going to run, and I'm going to foster a team. It's the right thing to do. And please help me understand how to do it so that everybody's happy and successful and it's fun for them.
So John, as our community is viewing this, what are some of the initial signs that our community is going to see that this is that these impacts are propagating outwards to the community?
Exactly. So the things that are going to, it's an 18-month program that we're going to roll out, and it starts with benefits directed to rookie teams, so the 2 XRP robots, admission to off-season events for free, the EveryBot option in the kits. Anybody can do that. That's going to really help move forward those EveryBot people. And then the ability to connect with many of you soon to help create that synergy in your schools and your teams that will give you the support that you need.
That's fantastic.
That's really cool. It's so funny because when you mentioned synergy, the first thing that popped into my mind was Kenergy. I guess I've been a little bit too obsessed with the Barbie movie. But what, if anything, should our teams and mentors do now to benefit from your involvement in this role?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, because first of all, this is the first piece we're exposing to the community about this initiative. So there's really not that much information going out, and it's really surfacey right now. But the idea is, if you have any need for help, assistance, understanding on how to work more collaboratively with your school to get support, and or the school to seek the support from the school board, and vice versa, all the way up the chain, that's what we're going to do. And when we do that, we're going to come in and think of an environment, a family of schools that all support each other and are supported by the budgets from within the school system. And that's a bit of a problem that some schools have, is understanding how to take the budget and how do I chop it up and give it here or there. We want them to know that they need to predetermine an amount that's going to go to support the first initiative in our schools.
This is fantastic, John. I think everyone's probably hearing about this is going to be pretty exciting for everyone, just knowing that there's so many different avenues that we're going to be able to support our schools, our teachers, our mentors, our volunteers, and just kind of, help grow the program. And when we talk about growing the program, it's all about getting more kids exposed to FIRST. And,
Absolutely.
Amelia, you're one of the lucky ones right now. You have the opportunity, you have a team, you have access to this, and we just want more kids to have these sorts of opportunities. I know I was a FIRST student a long time ago. That opportunity changed my life, and I just want as many people as possible to have this. And this is, John, thank you for your leadership in this area.
Yeah.
Hey, John,
and just add, Karthik, one quick note about this that is underpins all of what's being said here, is that we really want to take our in-class experiences to the next level. Call it the conversion rate of those teams having the courage and willingness to go into being a competitive team, and to get all the support they need to do that.
Because there's nothing better than being on a competitive team, right? It's just you get to the competitions and it's just like, whoa, this is it. Hey, John, rapid fire, fun stuff here. One hidden talent.
I can skate at Olympic level, dance figure skating. Yep.
There you go, right there. Secrets to be announced.
Qualified for the Pan Am Games, doing that before.
John, so maybe one year if there's a water game, we'll have an ice game in Canada, and we'll get you on the ice. Okay, we'll get you on the ice.
We had that at Western, yeah.
You already. Oh boy! You told us about something you cool you did this summer. You went to Europe or whatever. So I'm going to ask you one more rapid fire question: Barbie or Oppenheimer? Question of the summer.
Oppenheimer. But Barbie had some uniqueness to it. And what I really liked about Barbie was they were very good at getting the message through about valuing both sexes equally. And they really showcased Ken as being the gurus, and then the Barbies, and then it was Ken Land, and then it got changed back to Barbie Land for all the right reasons. So I mean, it was pretty funny for sure. And I loved Ryan Gosling and how much you could tell he enjoyed that role, and him in the fur coat and all that. Or my favorite part was when they said it's Ken Land. So when Barbie came back, and all you'd see on all the penthouse patios were big screen TVs, right? Because that's what the guys do.
That's fabulous, John. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Okay.
What's up?
Pleasure.
We'll love to hear more as this goes on. I know teams are going to be seeing all of this soon, and hey, rookie teams, you're going to be getting your XRP robots. That's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, and love that FTC game. Outstanding. Wow.
Favorite part of the FTC game, John?
Well, two of them. I think one is the hidden piece, and I know Karthik's already thinking about this, but because the games aren't red and blue, game pieces aren't red and blue, that offers an opportunity for the bad word of hoarding to deplenish your partner's ability to your opponent's ability to score. And secondly, that whole piece about putting it onto the backboard. I've got like multiple ideas in my head thinking, I know exactly what would work. So maybe we should do open hours on just strategy advice or design advice. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, John, thank you so much for being here. And folks, we're going to be back in just one more second. All right, folks, we're back. And now please welcome our next guest, the FIRST Canada Program Manager for FIRST LEGO League Explore and Discover, Christine Bivic. Hey, Christine.
Hey, how are you?
Doing fabulous, Christine.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here. And I hear you have some exciting news.
I do. I'm pretty excited. I'm always pressed for time. And so I'm always interested in things that kind of get me a win-win or a win-win-win or a win-win-win-win-win-win. So I think I have one of those today that I'm happy to share with everybody. So I'm pretty excited to be here. So
right.
here we go. So we're announcing a new grant called the First LEGO League Explore Pipeline Grant. This is a fabulous opportunity, I think, for all of the teams out there. So this is going to be available to all teams, no matter what program they're in, whether you're a class pack or a team. And it's going to be an opportunity for you to use first definition, as in FRC, we know that first clearly defines some of these words and terms for us for the use of the impact award. And so we're going to use first definition of starting a team. And if you can start a team in Ontario for the new season, the new masterpiece season, we would like to offer each team $50 per team, $150 per class pack. And if you do a combination of 5 or more of any of those, or 5 single teams, 5 class packs, whatever, we'll give you a $50 bonus on top.
All right,
of it.
Christine. So if I'm an FRC team and I start an Explore team, $50. And if I'm an
Yes.
FTC team and I start an Explore team, $50.
$50.
And if I'm a First LEGO League Challenge team and I start an Explore team, $50. And if I start 3 of them, $150.
Exactly.
And so this is for teams in First Robotics Competition, First Tech Challenge, First LEGO League Challenge for starting First LEGO League Explorer teams or First LEGO League Explorer class packs.
Yes. Yes.
There we go.
And it's even going to be open to Explore teams too, to start additional ones, because I think we don't want to leave anybody out there.
Okay,
So it's a real opportunity, I think, for you to not only expand the program in your community, which is going to, this is where the name's coming from, a pipeline for future students for your team, get them prepared, get them knowing about first and core values, and we'll get them all streamed in there early. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So win-win, you win, the community wins. It's like the whole shooting match. It's like, it'll be great fun. And you know, some extra funding for your team never hurts either, and you have the opportunity to multiply this out so it can really add up quickly. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. There are going to be a limited number of grants available. Of course, it's going to depend on how many class packs and how many teams. So it's a limited pool of money. So when it's gone, it's gone. So I encourage you to get started on this soon. If you've already managed to recruit a team for this masterpiece season, let's get them signed up, because they will certainly count. And we also want to encourage you to assist and mentor as well, although it's not a requirement for this grant. So it's just an opportunity, I think, for you to do something more, develop leadership skills within the community, and just share your passions. So I am really excited. It's like, this is great. This is great.
Well, I think another exciting team here is, Chris, another thing here is that also to help start teams, there's First LEGO League Explorer grants available for rookie teams, right?
That's correct. So the rookie team that you're starting still is eligible for all that rookie support grant money that's available. So you can help them, and that's part of when you read the definition of starting a team from first. It does involve that, getting them set up for their funding too. So it's already there for you. It's really going to be easy. It's very streamlined. And I think this is a real great opportunity. And this is the great time for FTC teams and FRC teams to really, you know, expose those feeder schools. You know, it's the beginning of the school year. For FRC teams, maybe it's not quite such a busy time of year as January. So let's use that little bit of extra time we have and help the community grow.
And Chris, it's called a pipeline grant, and part of that's because this allows teams in the other programs to build a pipeline of future students, right?
It does. And I know from my own experience with my first robotics competition team, having seen students that started in First LEGO League Junior or First LEGO League Explore, and sort of go through the programs that way, I can see, just the advantages to them. It's not to say that you need to do that to be successful in the program, and I love that about FIRST, but it certainly does offer a really unique opportunity to sort of make it part of the fabric of who you are from the very beginning and from a really a young age, right? And get those skills, start working and developing them early so that they're well tuned by the time you reach the age of, for first Lego League Challenge or for FTC or FRC.
And so, Chris, if a team wants to get involved in this, what do they do?
Yes, so we're going to have some information in your next program update, and we'll give you a link there where you can apply for the grant online. So it's going to be just fill in the blanks. And there's also, of course, information on our website, roboticscanada.org. That's where you'll find information about grants, how to start a team. There's lots of great documents there and supporting materials. And of course, you can always contact me too. And there's my email address, christine.bibic@firstroboticscanada.org.
And that's also in the chat for folks that need it. Amelia, what do you think about all this?
I think it's really, really cool. I think maybe there should be an Emoja Junior team starting. Maybe I'll
There you
look
go.
at that.
It's lots of fun, and you can build cool things like this year. Isn't that
Oh,
cool?
wow. Okay, that's
Nice
pretty
gear
awesome.
train in there. It's lots of fun. You'll really enjoy working with these students. It's a great age, and they really have fun. And with the team meeting guide and everything, it's just so simple. And the grants, it's super easy.
And if I remember correctly, are people like my age in FRC or FTC allowed to help mentor teams?
We always have mentors of all ages. It does require 2 mentors to be over the age of 18. But aside from that, we're always looking for extra help. And so it's a great chance to sort of test the waters in sort of those leadership kind of ways that maybe you don't have an opportunity for regularly. So lots of fun. And plus you're super cool with these young kids, right? Because it's like they look up to you and the big robots that you build and how cool they are. So it really sort of inspires them, right? First for inspiration and recognition of science and technology. And we're hitting that eye really big.
That is pretty fantastic stuff. Hey, Chris, before we go, rapid fire questions. We've been asking everyone. Hidden talent.
I don't know. I'm like Dave, but I don't know if it's a talent, but I have a talent maybe for collecting socks.
Okay. How what's your favorite pair of socks you have?
Oh, I can't pick one. Can't pick one.
Okay.
But I like to wear different socks all the time because, to represent my day, what I'm doing that day, or to inspire me for the day. So today I'm wearing FIRST socks, of course.
Of course. There we go. All right. And then, Chris, we've asked everyone so far, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Barbie.
Barbie seems to be the winner so far. I think that's unanimous decree right here. All right. Christine, thank you so much for joining us. Folks, if you want to get more information about the Explore Pipeline Grant or anything to do with First Lego League Explore Discover, Christine's contact info is in the chat. Hit her up. And Chris, thank you for being here. Thanks for everything you do with First Lego League Explore and Discover.
Look forward to hearing from all of you, and especially if you got one of those FIRST Essential or Spike Essential kits at Provincials last year. Make sure to put them to good use.
That is fabulous. That's perfect right there. All right. Thank you, Christine. And Amelia, look at that. We're at the end of the show. First show in the books.
Yay! What an awesome show it's been. I really liked all the insights from the different people we had on here, especially with the FTC deep dive. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, it's there's so much excitement. I'm really excited for the FTC game. I'm in my head now, I'm thinking about airplane launchers and pixels and Alex's idea, popping the pixels off. I can't wait for the FTC season to get started. I can't wait for everything to get started. It's going to be really, really good. So folks, thank you for joining us. Hey, just a reminder, you are back into school right now, students, or our alumni. Some of you are at university. There's a lot going on, and it's important to get your priorities right. When we build robots, we always say you got to prioritize your drivetrain first, and then you got to prioritize your intake. With all this stuff, you need, as a student, you need to prioritize your health first. So you got to be making sure, like Amelia talked about, you're taking breaks, you're getting rest, you're your physical health and your mental health, because mental health is physical health. And also, school, it's important. Focus on your grades, focus on doing what you can, and then everything else can support around it. But you can't do everything else without that strong base in there. So take care of yourselves, and it's going to be a great season, and make sure you're having fun with everything you're doing. And we will be back on October 17th. That is a little bit over a month from now for another episode of First Canada Live. But until then, have fun, everyone. See ya.